explanations but had not paid attention to them because I believed they did not pertain directly to dreaming. Everything here in this realm pertains directly to dreaming, the emissary stated. I wanted to think about the reason for my misjudgment, but my mind became blank. My dreaming attention was waning. I was having trouble focusing it on the world around me. I braced myself for waking up. The emissary started to speak again, and the sound of its voice popped me up. My dreaming attention perked up considerably. Dreaming is the vehicle that brings dreamers to this world, the emissary said. And everything sorcerers know about dreaming was taught to them by us. Our world is connected to yours by a door called dreams. We know how to go through that door, but men don't. They have to learn it. The emissary's voice went on, explaining what it had already explained to me before. The protuberances on the tunnel's walls are shadow beings, it said. I am one of them. We move inside the tunnels on their walls, charging ourselves with the energy of the tunnels, which is our energy. An idle thought crossed my mind. I was really incapable of conceiving a symbiotic relationship such as the one I was witnessing. If you would stay among us, you would certainly learn to feel what it is like to be connected as we are connected, the emissary said. The emissary seemed to be waiting for my reply. I had the feeling that what it really wanted was for me to say that I decided to stay. How many shadow beings are in each tunnel, I asked to change the mood, and immediately regretted it because the emissary began to give me a detailed account of the numbers and functions of the shadow beings in each tunnel. It said that each tunnel had a specific number of dependent entities which performed specific functions having to do with the needs and expectations of the supporting tunnels. I did not want the emissary to go into more detail. I reasoned that the less I knew about the tunnel and shadow beings, the better off I was. The instant I formulated that thought, the emissary stopped and my energy body jerked as if it had been pulled by a cable. The next moment, I was fully awake in my bed. From then on, I had no more fears that could have interrupted my practices. Another idea had begun to rule me, the idea that I had found unparalleled excitation. I could hardly wait every day to start dreaming and have the scout take me to the Shadow's world. The added attraction was that my visions of the Shadow's world became even more true to life than before, judged by the subjective standards of orderly thoughts, orderly visual and auditory sensory input, orderly responses on my part. My experiences, for as long as they lasted, were as real as any situation in our daily world. Never had I perceptual experiences in which the only differences between my visions and my everyday world was the speed with which my visions ended. One instant I was in a strange, real world. Next instant I was in my bed. I craved Don Juan's commentaries and explanations, but I was still marooned in Los Angeles. The more I considered my situation, the greater my anxiety. I even began to sense that something in the inorganic being's realm was brewing at tremendous speed. As my anxiety grew, my body entered into a state of profound fright. Although my mind was ecstatic in the contemplation of the Shadow's world, to make things worse, the dreaming emissary's voice lapsed into my daily consciousness. One day, while I was attending a class at the university, I heard the voice say over and over that any attempt on my part to end my dreaming practices would be deleterious to my total aims. It argued that warriors do not shy away from a challenge, that I had no valid rationale for discontinuing my practices. I agreed with the emissary. I had no intention of stopping anything, and the voice was merely reaffirming what I felt. Not only did the emissary change, but a new scout appeared on the scene. On one occasion, before I began to examine the items of my dream, a scout literally jumped in front of me and aggressively captured my dreaming attention. The notable feature of this scout was that it did not need to go through any energetic metamorphosis. It was a blob of energy from the start. In the blink of an eye, the scout transported me without my having to voice my intent to go with it to another part of the inorganic being's realm, the world of the saber-toothed tigers. I've described in my other works glimpses of those visions. I say glimpses because I did not have sufficient energy then to render these perceived worlds comprehensible to my linear mind. My nightly visions of the saber-toothed tigers occurred regularly for a long time until one night when the aggressive scout that had taken me for the first time to that realm suddenly appeared again. Without waiting for my consent, it took me to the tunnels. I heard the emissary's voice. It immediately went into the longest and most poignant sales pitch I had heard so far. It told me about the extraordinary advantages of the inorganic being's world, It spoke of acquiring knowledge that would definitely stagger the mind, and about acquiring it by the simplest act of staying in those marvelous tunnels. It spoke of incredible mobility, of endless time to find things, and above all, being pampered by cosmic servants that would cater to my slightest whims. Aware beings from the most unbelievable corners of the cosmos stay with us, the emissary said, ending its talk. And they love their stay with us. In fact, no one wants to leave. The thought that crossed my mind at the moment was that servitude was definitely antithetical to me. I'd never been at ease with servants or with being served. The scout took over and made me glide through many tunnels. It came to a halt in a tunnel that seemed somehow larger than the others. My dreaming attention became riveted on the size and configuration of that tunnel, and it would have stayed glued there had I not been able to turn around. My dreaming attention focused then on a blob of energy a bit bigger than the shadow entities. It was blue, like the blue in the center of a candle's flame. I knew that this energy configuration was not a shadow entity and that it did not belong there. I became absorbed in sensing it. The scout signaled me to leave, but something was making me impervious to its cues. I remained uneasily where I was. However, the scout's signaling broke my concentration and I lost sight of the blue shape. Suddenly, a considerable force made me spin around and put me squarely in front of the blue shape. As I gazed at it, it turned into the figure of a person, very small, slender, delicate, almost transparent. I desperately attempted to determine whether it was a man or a woman, but hard as I tried, I could not. My attempts to ask the emissary failed. It flew away quite abruptly, leaving me suspended in that tunnel, facing now an unknown person. I tried